Get ready, everyone, and you just might survive. Ruben and Jason are here with their X-Men deep dive. Going through all the X-books is their mission, so get ready for the learned edition. Things are getting weird in here. Ruben hopes another sword book gets announced this year. It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed not to blow, except your mind. It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed not to blow, except your mind.
Welcome all you weirdos, choristers of Revelation, and every hobgoblin pretending to be a Skrull, pretending to be a Shi'ar. It is time to receive your 158th Weird Dose of X, the mutant member of your Weird Science podcast family. I am your exhausted from wiki diving host Jason, broadcasting as always from the Wrong Turn studio perched high atop stately Weird Science Manor, right next to a space swirly. And with me is a guy who still feels conflicted about feeling bad for Fabian Cortez. It's my pal Ruben. Hey Ruben, how the heck are you?
I'm doing okay. This is the calm before the storm. My daughters have their birthday this week, 2 different days. So I'm ending the evening baking birthday cakes, and it just goes into busyness for the next 5 days.
Well, I think that there's probably some benefits to having them kind of in the same week. Get to have one big celebratory period, and are they still at an age where they're okay having their birthdays kind of
the
close
shared
together?
birthday party? Yeah.
That's good.
We're heading up to Canada. I don't know if I'll be able to get back, so if I'm not back next Monday,
You go
I was detained at the border.
Going to Buffalo, Canada to visit our pals out there?
Yeah, that'd be funny. No, we're gonna go to Victoria. I've never been to that spot. And then Vancouver, which I used to go to a whole lot before the pandemic. So this will be our first time
Fun.
there since then. And we've got some friends that were visiting up there.
Nice. And you've been busy lately. You were on a whole other broadcasting outlet recently, weren't you?
Is this the spotlight on me? You can play some Coldplay songs.
We're plugging. Oh no! Yeah, you and Wakazashi Gray all snuggled up there on the crowd cam. Yeah, no, you were live streamed with Gray on his YouTube channel.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, Gray's a cool guy. I was kind of jealous that you got to talk to him a few weeks ago. So when he was soliciting the Weird Science Slack for guest hosts, I was like, oh yeah, that'd be fun. My wife was out playing pickleball that night, so I was like, okay, I don't have anything better to do. This would be great.
Cool. Yeah, so if you're out there and you're curious what that's all about, go to YouTube, search for Wakazashi Tea House, and on one of the most recent videos, you'll see Ruben made a little guest appearance. And also, I recently did a little appearance on the regular Marvel podcast here on Weird Science with Jim, talk about the Ultimate X-Men. And we had an issue that had some real action and progressed the story a little bit, which is what we've been asking for. So, hey, that title is moving in a better direction.
It has the word X-Men in it, so I'm committed to reading it, but it's certainly the most confusing of the Ultimate Universe. Does it remain confusing? I mean, I'm mostly caught up. I haven't read this last issue, but...
There is a confusing bit where, as often, there's a scene where we're not sure, is this real? Is it of the mind? Why are there two Hisakos? Not quite sure what's going on, but things are moving forward.
Okay.
So
I enjoy the series. I'm a big fan of Peach Momoko's art, so there's that. But
it always looks great. I did post a couple of iffy panels from this past
I saw
issue.
That. I kind of laughed. Taken out of context, it could be
taken out of context.
Else.
It looks almost like Jim Carrey kind of coming out of the rhino's butt in one scene. And there's another where the style just looks like Charles Schultz drawing Peanuts, just for one panel, but mostly good.
Nice.
So we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. We're going to talk about X-Men Age of Revelation number 0, that surprise announcement that we were not expected, was not on my spreadsheet, Ruben. How can we talk about a comic that was not on my spreadsheet?
Yeah.
And then we'll go to Exceptional X-Men number 11, Giant Size House of KaMala, capitalize the M, number 1, and Imperial number 2. But before that, we have more news to get to. And I think for like the 4th consecutive week, Ruben, all of our news is about the upcoming Age of Revelation event boy, gotta hand it to Marvel PR getting us to talk about this 4 weeks in a row. So there's 16 plus titles in the 16 plus titles in this event, twice as many as in the original Age of Revelation or Age of Apocalypse, which means this one's going to be twice as good, right? I mean, that's math.
I want to actually say I actually think it will be.
Okay.
I'm gonna get my X card revoked, but I'm reading the original
Yes.
after being teased for not knowing anything about these seminal X-Men storylines, and in particular this one. So I've started it, but it is like extremely 90s. It's very dated in my mind.
A lot of the art, especially, is very, very 90s.
Yeah, it's just like there's a good story there. So far, I'm only, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 issues in. So I'm certainly enjoying it, but it's just a little too extreme, and the art is very stylized and very like the colors are very 90s colors, like early 90s colors. So like super
when the
garish.
Technology just started, like when the digital kind of started happening and they didn't really know how to use it tastefully yet, I think is the feeling I get. You do get the feeling of exploring this whole new radically changed world, which is fun. I like that part.
So actually, and what I would say about that is like everything is different, but to some extent it just feels like it's forced to be extreme. And, you know, a teaser of the Age of Revelation, I feel like the world that we're seeing in that space, it feels more like logical. Like, oh yeah, I understand how we could have gotten to this place. Not just like, let's dial it up to make it arbitrarily extreme.
Yeah, we will deep dive.
It's like an exhaustive deep dive
into that Age of Revelation book coming up next. But yeah, I think both of us are more positively feeling about this event, having read that Jed MacKay issue 0.
Yes.
I think it's really good.
Yep.
Okay, so let's talk about these titles. We now know who's going to be writing them, and we've gotten the solicits for like the first issue. And
I'm kind of surprised. It seems like they did a bit of a shuffle, right, of these people that are kind of part X-affiliated people getting assigned to books that don't necessarily make sense. But go ahead. I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
Yeah, we made some pretty good guesses, and we made some pretty bad guesses. But, you know, it's fun to make guesses. That's what we do here. And notice there is no magic book, nothing written by Ashley Allen, although there's kind of hints that maybe at one point there was going to be. I wonder if there was going to be a Dark Child book that got canceled. I think Psylocke and Magic are ending at issue 10, kind of right before the event. I haven't seen a cancellation announcement, but also solicits you'd expect to see haven't come out. So I think Magic and Psylocke are done at 10, just like X Factor was and X Force was. I think, you know, they get to they've been promised a minimum of 10, and I think that's all they're getting.
Yeah.
Okay, into these actual titles. It's going to be released over 4 weeks. So 4 weeks, 5 weeks, I think 5 weeks, every Wednesday in October is what it is. So on October 1st, we get Age of Revelation Overture, number 1, which is a one-shot by Jed MacKay, officially kicking things off. And I'm kind of wondering what that's going to be, given how much we got in the issue 0. Because we get a lot in the issue 0. But clearly, we will be talking about that. And then on October 8th, we get Amazing X-Men, also written by Jed MacKay. And this is the Age of Revelation counterpart of MacKay's adjectiveless X-Men. On the cover of issue 1, we see a bearded Cyclops, a more bestial-looking gray or maybe white beast. We get Jen Starkey, still having wings, but with her head shaved, kind of like Sinead O'Connor. And I do love seeing Glob Herman here, because he's basically Rambo, right?
Yes.
He's got armor, he's got pouches aplenty. You talk about things being 90s style, Ruben. He's got the 90s pouches for sure, and a big old, like a Cable-style gun.
Yeah, he looks a little buffer, too, than the way we normally see him.
I guess you could say that, sure. But yeah, I think Glob's going to be fun on this. And also, standing right there next to Cyclops, it is
Schwarzschild.
So, yeah, I guess one of the 3K X-Men ends up joining the Cyclops X-Men. Kind of fun.
Your German's impeccable, by the way.
I have been practicing. Yeah, that was great, wasn't it? Apologies to everybody. Okay, so the solicit for this mentions something about them venturing into the haunted ruins of Greymalkin. And I'm just hoping we see what warden/podcaster Corinna Ellis is up to.
Yeah.
So clearly this is going to be one of the main books that we'll follow, because it is Jed MacKay, it is Cyclops and Company, and that's going to be one of the main plot lines here. Next we have Binary. We had guessed this was going to be the Phoenix book, and it is written by Stephanie Phillips, and it is the Phoenix book. Not entirely clear if this is Jean Grey as the Phoenix. Not clear to me how Jean would be even affected by the events on Earth unless she decides to come home.
Yeah.
Not really sure what this is going to be, but we'll check it out. Next, we have Laura Kinney's Sabretooth, which is written by Erica Schultz, the current Laura Kinney author. And in the solicit, we find out that Laura is now working for Revelation. So there's clearly going to be a split with some of the characters sticking with Dougie. Oh, or do I have that?
Teach me how to duck. Teach me how to duck.
Yeah. Some of the characters are going to stick with him, and some of the characters are going to be against him.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is going to be a central book, but we will, as always, check it out. Now we have Long Shots #1, which we had thought would be a Mojo story, and it is. And it's written by two big names from the Krakoan era. It's written by Jerry Duggan and some guy named Joe Nathan Hickman. Am I reading that correctly? Am I pronouncing that right? That was crazy, isn't it, to see Hickman on a Mojo book here in Age of Revelation after Krakoa?
I'm excited about this.
Wacky.
I feel
Tell me why.
Yeah, because I always felt like Duggan does a good job with the humor. So I could see some like humorous elements, but then Hickman's the big idea guy, right? And so I would really appreciate somebody trying to make the Mojoverse more interesting, more structured, more like, usually it's just super wacky. Yeah. I think I think his sort of organizational capabilities are going to maybe provide some definition that other writers can use for how you portray the Mojoverse in the future.
Let's hope so. So the solicit says that Mojo is staging a death game between Wonder Man, Hellcat, Bishop, Rhino, and Kraven, which feels like just like 5 random picks from the wiki, but maybe there's a plan. Longshot himself is not mentioned in the solicit text, but he's there on the cover. And also a character I didn't recognize from the cover, but that Gabe, thank you, on the Slack immediately ID'd is a character named Spiral. I probably should have noticed that she had 6 arms, and Googling 6-arm mutant kind of comes up with Spiral. And she is a character who's been connected with Longshot and Mojo, so it makes sense that she'd be here. Although I think she comes up in another book too, which is odd. It's a big resurgence for Spiral.
Yeah, I think it's a cool character design, but it's been a while since that character's been that relevant.
It reminds me of like if those old arcade fighting games, like your Mortal Kombat style ones.
Yeah,
there was always a character with too many arms, and that's what she reminds me of.
Yeah.
The last one for October 7th or 8th is World of Revelation #1, which, this is going to be the anthology book, letting various writers kind of peek in at various parts of the world during Age of Revelation. The solicit mentions Arakko, which got me excited. And the writers for this first issue, at least, are listed as Ryan North, who'll probably be doing some Fantastic Four stuff, Al Ewing, who I expect will be doing the Arakko stuff, and Steve Fox. So, I mean, anthology books are kind of by design hit and miss. We will see what happens. But yeah, definitely curious to see what the folks of Arakko think of Revelation, because they kind of seem like they'd be into it, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, Apocalypse is still there, right? So, I mean, there's no leader on Arakko per se, but I feel like his people are there. At least they like share a common philosophy, right? So I think they would definitely be on board with what Doug's doing.
Sounds good. Moving on to October 15th, we get Unbreakable X-Men, written by Gail Simone. Yes, this is the Age of Revelation Uncanny book. Gambit is on the cover with a bandage over his eyes, so I don't know if he's blind or what. We get Headstones reading Rogue and Marcus St. Jr., so apparently RIP to those two. And Ruben, do you remember when I confidently predicted that the whole Penumbra thing was going to be quickly swept under the rug, forgotten, never seen again? Remember that? You remember how you predicted that, it'll probably come back pretty soon?
Yes. Was that right?
I guess I got to give you that one, huh?
Nice.
The focus of this book, we're told, will be all about Penumbra.
Yeah.
And did you see who else is going to be appearing in this cast?
No, tell me.
Spider-Girl.
God.
So I still have yet to read anything about Spider-Girl. I hear about it on the Marvel podcast. I hear you tell me about her, but I guess I'll have to learn who Spider-Girl really is.
Yeah, interesting. Is this part of the idea of like, I read some of the, at the end of Age of Revelation 0, the sort of like, here's, the editor notes on this, and they said, we're going to show you kind of what, other people in the Marvel universe might think about this.
Could be. I mean, I would think that's referring to the World of Revelation.
Yeah. I don't want to believe that she's getting folded into like the mutant line. We already got stuck with KaMala. I don't need another cast-off character.
Maybe they'll get a 2-girl title, KaMala and Spider-Girl, and we can just totally ignore it. That was harsh. I'm sorry, Spider-Girl. I don't even know you yet. Okay, next. The book called Rogue Storm. And we figured this would probably be the Storm book, and it is. It's written by Murewa Ayodele, who is the writer of the current Storm title. And we're told that Storm has been, quote, driven mad by dark magic and grief. Rogue leads a team to go kill Storm. So that'll be a cheerful title.
Mm-hmm.
Other members of this team are Gateway, Iceman, Phantom X, Warpath, and Spiral. So this is where Spiral's back again. Okay. She's all over.
Also, I'm a big Phantom X fan, so I like this.
I am surprised we see the name Warpath in the solicit because I thought we had, swept that definitely under the rug and he was just John Proudstar now, but there you go. Next, Iron and Frost. We had thought this would be the one written by Jerry Duggan because he did the Tony-Emma relationship book.
Yeah, that's where I thought he was going to show
up. Duggan's on long shots with Hickman, and this book is going to be written by Cavan Scott. Not too familiar with him. He seems to mostly be a Star Wars comic writer, plus some Gwenpool.
Mm-hmm.
Judging from the cover, Tony Stark may be dead already in this timeline, or perhaps that's just a cover tease. Have to wait and see. Next, Sinisters 6, written by David Marquez, which I thought at first was a typo because David Marquez is an artist, not a writer. But I guess he has an author-owned, writer-owned, creator-owned work in progress, so he's written a couple issues. This is a Mr. Sinister book. He's looking to overthrow Revelation, take over for himself, which he would. He probably sees Doug as his little brother, because Sinister was raised up by Apocalypse long, long time ago.
Yeah.
Sinister's team is Havoc, Black Cat, Domino, Omega Red. I see Phantom X here again. Phantom X is all over.
Yeah.
And Venom.
Okay. I like that team.
Weird team. I don't know how Phantom X can be in two places, just like I don't know how Six-Arm Lady can be in two places, but maybe I'll go back to my old theory that we have two separate timelines or time periods going on.
Oh, past and present.
Which I was going to say there's no more, I haven't seen any more support for my theory, right? We saw the one title X years from now and a bunch of titles, and Age of Revelation, a bunch of titles. I was going to say I was just totally wrong. But maybe if we have the same characters popping up in two books, well, maybe that's how that happens.
I think they're trying really hard to homage Age of Apocalypse. And one of the elements in Age of Apocalypse that I noticed was, kind of like the beginning of the age and the end of the age. You kind of get both. So I think your theory is more sound than I initially gave it credit.
I'm going to clip that and be playing it back for you later. Sounds good to me. Okay, moving on to October 22nd. We get The Last Wolverine, written by Saladin Ahmed, who is the current writer of the Wolverine ongoing. And he is writing the Wolverine book, but the twist here is that the Wolverine here is Kid Wendigo. Sure, why not? Last we saw, he'd been transformed back into a regular old kid, no Wendigo, but things happen. He could be the Wendigo again.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of kids, the next book is Omega Kids, written by Tony Fleece. I think I'm saying Fleece correctly. I never get that right. Fleece has written a bunch of stuff, mostly creator-owned, but also the current Thing miniseries, and what looks to be like kind of a lot of My Little Pony comics. So, listeners, if you're into those, good for you. Ruben, do you have the full run of the Tony Fleece My Little Pony hidden away somewhere in a closet? No?
There was a free comic book day, My Little Pony story, and we got that at the Comic-Con Museum.
Okay.
When we visited it, and my little girls made me read that like a bajillion times. It's like tattered, and
that's funny.
I read the same damn story over and over again. At some point, I was like, let me just buy you the trade because I'm tired of reading the same story. We never actually did that because they eventually just got bored with the issue.
Do you remember, was that a Tony Fleece story?
I'll have to look now. I think it's somewhere on their shelf.
So back to Omega Kids. This is, we predicted this, not too hard. Quentin Quire is the leader/mentor for a team of young psychic mutants. We have no names given for the team. I don't recognize anyone than Quentin on the cover. Quentin will be working for Revelation, and we'll hear a little bit more about this in Age of Revelation number 0. So yeah, it will be fun to see him in a mentor mode, although also he'll be doing some pretty nasty stuff, it seems. Next we have Radioactive Spider-Man, which is written by Joe Kelly, current writer of Amazing Spider-Man, Jim's third favorite writer ever, I do believe. We had been speculating on who Radioactive Spider-Man might be, who might get called Radioactive Spider-Man, the way that Uncanny Spider-Man turned out to be Nightcrawler. It's just Spider-Man. It's Peter Parker, but he's a mutant now. And we'll explain how that comes about when we get to Age of Revelation number 0.
Yeah.
Okay, X-Men Book of Revelation, number 1, written by Judd McKay. This one is apparently about infighting among Revelation's top lieutenants. The solicit also mentions the Ghost of Philadelphia. Now, Ruben, who do you think is the Ghost of Philadelphia?
Is it Jim Werner?
Wow. That's pretty dark. It's only 10 years from now, He's not that old. He only turned 75 years young like a week or so ago.
Yes.
My two guesses, maybe Ben Franklin. If I think Philadelphia, I think Ghost. For some reason, I go to Ben Franklin.
What about the Eternal Warrior? Is he from Philadelphia? I remember that character.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, there's like this Spirit of War type character that's in the Marvel Universe. I haven't seen him in a long time, but he's like the Eternal Soldier type thing. Mm-hmm. Like he appeared in all the major military conflicts.
Okay, interesting.
Look him up.
I know. I guess DC has the Unknown Soldier. Is that DC?
Oh, is that it? Okay, maybe I'm mixing up my universes.
Well, the Unknown Soldier is DC. I don't know about the Eternal Soldier. But my other guess for the Ghost of Philadelphia would be Will Smith. That's my guess. We know, he was born and raised there until, he had a little trouble on the playground, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe his ghost goes back to the basketball field. Basketball, that's what they call a basketball, right? A field? The basketball court in Philadelphia. Yeah. Okay, and the last batch of these books coming out on October 29th, right before Halloween. Hey, you probably should have put the Ghost of Philadelphia one out on October 29th. Marvel PR, call me. I can help you out with this. Mm-hmm. We have Expatriate X-Men, which is, yes, the exceptional book written by Eve Ewing. No mention of Kitty, Emma, or Axo here. The team is Bronze, Melee, I think a new character named Rift, and, of course, Ms. Marvel. Gotta have Ms. Marvel somewhere. I can't wait for there to be a giant-sized Age of Revelation so that Ms. Marvel can come back in time and meet Ms. Marvel, and they can both tell each other how great they are. Cover also shows Colossus and Mystique. Mystique could be fun.
As bad as that idea is, I actually think that'd be pretty cool. That'd be a really good teaser. Not necessarily them talking, but it'd be kind of cool to see her in this upcoming universe.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we have next Cloak or Dagger. This is written by Justina Ireland, who wrote parts of that 8 Deaths of Spider-Man story. The solicit here says that Cloak and Dagger are married now. Hey, good for them. But that, quote, they can no longer exist on the same plane at the same time. Which, as a longtime married guy myself, you go through stretches like that, right? Right, Ruben? Don't gotta tell you. But this is probably related to that old Marvel Rick Jones thing with the Negabands, I'm guessing. Probably clack them together, they change places.
Yep, that's what I assume. Yep.
We have Undeadpool. This is written by Tim Seeley, and we've liked his stuff, the Infinity Comics. Deadpool gets his wish. He's a real mutant now. Once again, we'll talk about how that happens. It comes down to it seems that it's made him kind of out of control, craving human flesh. I hope he doesn't eat any human flesh there in Canada, because you and I know what that means. Yeah. Go a Wendigo. And finally, last and maybe not least, but maybe least, it's X-Vengers, written by Jason Liu. Yep, the guy who wrote that Dazzler one-shot. Doesn't seem that Dazzler's in this title. It is a new team of Avengers led by Danny Moonstar. Okay. The rest of the team being Hawkeye, the original one, Clint Barton, Vision, Water Widow, Shang-Chi, Variable Man, and Cannonball. Hey, I know some of those names. Not all of those names are mutants, except in this series, yes, they are now all mutants. Another thing we'll clear up for you in a minute. So on the cover, it looks like Danny Moonstar is wielding Captain America's shield. I'm going to say that's going to be controversial, Ruben. I'm going to say some people are not going to like Danny Moonstar having Captain America's shield. But,
yeah. People would be pissed about that.
Captain, I'm seeing a headline, Captain Native America. I'm seeing that'll come up somewhere. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I'm predicting that'll happen.
Yeah, I'm already going to be pissed off about people being annoyed with it, because it's a totally fictitious world, right? Who cares what happens in these alt universes? I may or may not think it's a good or bad story. I'm not going to get actually angry about it. I might get kind of, but just like any comic book, we either like it or we don't, and we'll find out when we read it. Okay, those are the books. Any of these particular books really jumping out at you, Ruben? I got to see this. Anyone that's Phantom X, I'm going to read.
Okay, so that's 2 of them at least, yeah.
Yes, but the general idea of these alt universes, I'll check them all out, but I don't get super excited about these effectively what if stories.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing like the only one that really like makes me not interested is really the Deadpool one, and that's just because I'm kind of bored with Deadpool in general.
Yeah, it does seem kind of wacky for wacky's sake sometimes, but we'll check out all the number ones. And again, we don't know how long this event is. If it's going to be 4 months like Age of Apocalypse, or maybe it'll be shorter. So we'll see how many of each of these we actually get. All right, that is what is coming up starting in October, but we got a lot to talk about before that, starting with, where's my ding sound? There it is, starting with the Infinity comic, Astonishing X-Men Infinity Comic number 30, The Cuckoo's Song, Part 5. Written by Alex Packnadel, art by Philip Sevi, colors by Michael Bartolo, and letters by Clayton Cowles. Here we are, still on Mersey Island. Paige and Ava are in the clutches of a group of humans, very angry about those magic mutant meds being taken away from her. Paige is all drugged up so she can't run away or use her husk powers, and yeah, she stays drugged up this whole chapter. Not unconscious, still very much out of it. Probably a lot like me after my colonoscopies, which reminds me I gotta call and make another appointment with one of those. The two mutant ladies are quickly rescued. First, Helen, daughter of the group's leader. Helen whistles for her dog to come and bite one of the guards on the shoulder. And then Angelo, a.k.a. Skin, he swoops in to take down the other guard. They weren't working together, just had similar ideas. So the four of them, Paige, Ava, Helen, and Angelo, run off to the Barboose house to decide what to do next. Really, what happens here is that Helen fills in the island's backstory. Maybe not the best use of the character's precious time right now, but we readers appreciate it. Grandma Madeline suffers from vascular dementia, meaning in broad terms, her brain isn't getting enough blood flow to function at full capacity. This was fixed by the magic mutant meds, in particular Drug M. House of X, we were told that Drug M cures, quote, diseases of the mind. Is insufficient blood flow to the brain a disease of the mind? Close enough, I guess. Maybe it allows the mind to work well even without so much blood flow. I can go with it. When Krakoa fell and the med stopped flowing, Madeline's dementia returned and her son got quite annoyed. First, he was just a human separatist. Thought, hey, you mutants got your own island, free of humans, for the most part. Humans, we should be able to have our own island. No mutants allowed. So that was the founding idea of Mersey, mutants not welcome. Kind of hard to argue with that, especially right after Krakoa.
Yeah.
Dr. Barboose started chatting online, always a bad idea, unless you're on the Get Fresh Slack, with a group of human separatists, presumably the flat scanners. And as a result, one day somebody arrives on the island with a briefcase, and in this briefcase, there's a symbiote. Did you recognize the guy with the briefcase?
Oh, yeah. I can't remember his name, but he's part of that anti-mutant group that we've been dealing with.
I'm pretty sure it's Carl Denty, the Executioner.
That's right, Executioner.
Who we've seen working with the flat scanners since, I think, chapter 1 of this whole Infinity comic.
Yeah, he's very busy.
Busy guy. We still don't know where this symbiote comes from, why it does the bidding of the Islanders. Maybe it's been altered or limited in some way, but the Islanders learned that if they fed mutants to the symbiote, the mutants' power would be absorbed, and the symbiote could heal them, kind of like a replacement for the magic meds. They even call this symbiote Healer. Towards the end of the chapter, the mutants realize they've wasted too much time listening to the backstory. They hurry off to jump on a boat and get the heck out of there, but too slow. They are caught by Dr. Barboose and company, and Skin even takes a shotgun blast to the arm. This story is to be concluded next chapter. So, what did you think of the backstory and a little bit of action we got this week?
It was pretty self-explanatory. The dog showing up made no sense to me because I was like, where was this dog? Like, I was just like, why? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Just seemed really bizarre.
Yeah, the idea that she could signal the dog by one whistle and the dog would know, oh, that means I should go and bite this guy on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Right, like if you were like a guard or if you're like a K-9 unit police, you probably have a whistle that means bite this guy. But
yeah,
it was kind of convenient in this. It worked out fine, but yeah, it was a little bit surprising.
I was very surprised.
I was happy to see. Well, I'm not going to say I'm happy to see the Executioner because he's a bad guy, but I was happy to see it tying in with some other things we've seen in this story. It's always nice when it feels like it's connected.
Yeah.
Still want to see what is really up with that symbiote, where it came from, why it seems to have no personality of its own. It just, it has a hunger. Otherwise, it does whatever it's told.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty decent chapter. Backstory kind of predictable. I am curious to see how this wraps up next week. That is all we have to say about that. So let's move on to what I think was the biggest book of the week, which is the surprise hit X-Men Age of Revelation #0. Written by Jed MacKay, pencils by Humberto Ramos, inks by Victor Olazaba, and colors by Edgar Delgado. Just felt like leaning into the Spanish there. This is the issue that had a surprise release last week, if you can call sending, maybe a dozen issues out to a dozen stores, for all I can tell, a release. This week it came out more widely, including in digital format. The logo of the book is taken from Classic X-Men, with the word classic removed. Tom Brevoort seems to like reusing old logos. This issue has a whole lot of information in it. I was expecting hints, breadcrumbs, maybe unlettered preview pages, but Age of Revelation #0 gives us what seems like a fairly complete history of the 10 years between now and the Age of Revelation 10 years from now. Did you get more than you expected as well?
A lot more, yeah. I thought the quality of this was extremely high, and it felt like a really dense kind of all these events happen.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was very much like classic comic book writing, where 30 pages actually gives you a really a lot of story, and it got me kind of hyped for seeing where we're going to go from here.
I'm way more excited after reading it than I was before. My only fear is that did Jed MacKay give us too much here?
Is this everything?
Does he have more to go, or are we going to be? Is there going to be an anticlimax?
Yeah. Well, there's 16 issues at least, right?
Yes.
And so,
probably 32, 48, 64.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Hopefully, it's not 64. That feels a bit too much, but I think 32 would be fine. But making it if you're going to do that number of issues, having it in a very robust environment is pretty helpful.
Yeah, it does seem like some of those titles will be telling the core story of Revelation and the X-Men out to take down Revelation. And some of them, like Undeadpool or whatever, are going to be way off in a corner somewhere.
Well, and the thing I like in particular about this is we know that it's not going to be 16 issues of explaining how we got here.
That's true.
It's
we don't need to recap any of this again.
Yeah, we've got the environment set. So let's see what adventures these people can go on in that environment.
Mm-hmm. So this is narrated to us from the future by Shen Zorn, who's been a member of Jed MacKay's X-Men team for a full year now, really almost always in the background. He had that one scene recently where he got to go and pick up Quentin Quire, who had crashed out of the plane there. That was his big moment. Narration boxes and some of the pages are a history book that he is writing about those 10 years. Super convenient for us.
It was a fine narrative element. I was like, okay, this is a good way to tell the story.
Oh yeah, and you could tell by looking at the pages too, where the present day 10 years from now pages are in full bright color, and the history book pages are in much more muted colors. So you can always tell what you're looking at. So we're going to start by going through Zorn's history book and learn what the hell happened. Doug, Bay, and Warlock arrive in Alaska and are welcomed onto Scott's X-Men team. Presumably, we'll see this again in September's issue 22 of X-Men, right before the event proper starts in October. Zorn says that this moment marks, quote, year 0 of the Age of Revelation. So, huge event. Letting Doug join is risky. He is the heir of Apocalypse, but between the anti-mutant 1 on one side and the overly pro-mutant 3K on the other, Scott figures he really needs this kind of firepower on his team. Doug, Bay, Warlock, 3 big hitters. We're told that once on the team, Doug decides he needs even more power. And if you're a mutant and you need a power-up, who do you turn to, Ruben? Where do you go if you need that power dial to go to 11?
I love this. It's Fabian Cortez. It's Fabian Cortez, which exactly makes sense. It's
that's what you do.
Works for me. Yeah. And Fabian Cortez, from 90s X-Men, was super into Magneto, right? He likes being the guy that's part of the team and he powers up the team. So I could totally see him being on board with this.
We don't get to see anything about what he thinks. We don't get any dialogue from him.
No.
And he may not have any choice here.
That being said, Revelation better be careful because Fabian is not. He's not one to be trusted, right? He does this, he loves to do this, but he also, even though he's a follower, he seems to think of himself as a leader. So he's going to be trying to undermine Apocalypse.
Looking forward to seeing when we get to hear from Cortez directly. I want to hear what he thinks of all this.
Yep.
He was last seen being used and treated quite badly by Mystique in the Declan Shalvey Mystique miniseries. At the end of that mini, Cortez was left in S.H.I.E.L.D. custody. That's where he is now. Doug wants
He was
to
having
bust
some weird like prophetic visions, wasn't he?
No, that was the guy who was over in
that's right. Sorry.
Castle.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. That was
the son of the Sentinel
Trask,
creator.
Trask guy.
What Trask? Yeah. What's his name?
Okay.
Trask.
Yeah.
It was like the next page was right in the same vicinity.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was used by Mystique and then put in like the trunk of a car, and then he ended up being held by S.H.I.E.L.D. Because he had been being a good guy. He was trying to heal children in like a slum somewhere because he realized that his power amping up powers could also heal the sick.
Yeah.
So he was trying to do that, and it didn't work out well for him. Feeling bad for Fabian Cortez, which makes me feel funny too. So Doug wants to bust Cortez out and make use of him, and Scott thinks, no, that's a bad idea. And this is the moment that Zorn tells us Dougie crosses a line. He uses his new voice command power, which in this issue is called the Voice of God. He changes Scott's mind, makes him agree with Doug's way of thinking. Doug says to Scott, "Agree with me." This one utterance gets black word balloon, white letters, same way the power was depicted in X-Men 19. Although this instance of using that power, kind of different. Because in X-Men 19, that Zero goon didn't change his mind and like decide it was a good idea to point his gun at himself. He just had to physically obey Doug's command. Here, it seems like it might be deeper, that Doug's voice literally changes Scott's thinking. Curious to see this play out again in X-Men. Maybe we'll see when this happens and how it seems from Scott's point. We don't see the raid on S.H.I.E.L.D. to go get Cortez, but we find out it wasn't exactly surgical. Doug and the X-Men come home with Cortez, but on the S.H.I.E.L.D. side, Maria Hill died, and on the X-Men side, Magic dies. Zorn adds cryptically, while Hill stayed dead, the Dark Child did not. What do you think that means, Ruben?
My sense is it's one of those, like, you've got two personalities in one body, and so once the good side dies, the Dark Child side just, like, reanimates the body and is now in charge. And now it's only Dark Child.
Where do you think Dark Child is? We don't see her in the rest of this book.
Yeah.
We don't see her on any of the new covers. We don't see her mentioned in the solicits. This is what makes me think that, maybe there was going to be a continuation of the Magic series called Dark Child, and maybe it got canceled.
Yeah.
Total speculation. I don't know for sure.
I mean, it's going to become annoying if they have this reference and then we don't see Dark Child anywhere else.
Yeah, you got to clean up this dangling bit somewhere. Maybe just a line of dialogue somewhere at the end. We'll see.
But they did mention something about Revelation's sort of generals being at war, right? So maybe we'll have just Dark Child being one of those generals.
Could be. So after the Cortez raid, death of Hill and Magic, Cyclops steps down from leadership, or maybe Doug tells him to step down. Could be. And Doug, Revelation, we should really call him Revelation now, becomes a new leader.
I'm curious if these people that have been influenced by him know they've been influenced by him.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
If they ultimately thought that was their choice.
Right.
Because I could see, assuming Scott doesn't know he's actually manipulated, I could see him just being like, I did this horrible decision, like, and all these bad things happened. Like, I'm not fit to be the leader.
Right. Is it more subtle, like something Professor X or Etienne from Power or a Power Fantasy would do, or is it just brute force? I can, move you like a puppet, and afterwards, you're my puppet.
Yeah. Have
to wait and see. So Juggernaut and Zorn leave the team, and Zorn, looking back, says, "Yeah, that was a mistake." And it really was, because he has a black hole for a brain, which makes him immune to Revelation's voice of God, and apparently no one else is immune to that. So that's a big deal.
I like Juggernaut leaving because they've done a good job of setting up his like budding friendship with Magic. And so this idea of like, if Magic dies, like, I could see him being like, okay, I'm not cut out for this group.
And we haven't seen him mentioned in any of the solicits either. So I don't know if we'll see where he goes in this event. Okay, so now another exogenous event occurs. Mystery illness pops up, and it's in Philadelphia. Now, you know what we need to do, Ruben. Better safe than sorry. Time to build a wall around the entire greater Philadelphia metropolitan area, right? We go full-on no man's land situation. Jim can be Batman.
Yeah. I mean, we should just be doing that right now for safety's sake.
I've been saying it for years, frankly. We won't be cruel about it. We'll toss crates of green bell peppers over the wall to keep everybody fed and happy. They love those things.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the issue at hand. This mystery illness, or X virus, affects nearly the entire human population there, kills a bunch of them, and the ones who don't die, well, they become mutants.
Yep.
So back in the solicits, Spider-Man we hear is a mutant, Deadpool's a mutant, Hawkeye, Vision, Shang-Chi, all mutants. This is how that happens. I guess they catch and they survive the X virus.
Yeah, and then presumably somebody from Philadelphia travels to those places before the walls go up.
Yeah, things are going to spread. I'm not going to talk about how we know viruses spread because we've all lived through that, but yeah, it's going to spread.
Yeah.
And we're told by Zorn that the virus is blamed on 3K, which makes sense because we've already seen 3K turn baseline humans into mutants. We know that their goal is for the whole globe to be run by mutants, but the phrasing is very specific. Responsibility for the X virus was placed on 3K. Right? He doesn't say, yeah, they did it, or even they claimed responsibility. So maybe it'll turn out that it wasn't them. I mean, for all we know, Revelation did this himself.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea.
Now,
oh man, that'd be a pretty crazy twist if we learn that Revelation is influencing 3K.
I don't know if the timeline works out. We don't know exactly what Doug's been up to when 3K was rising, but that would be a hell of a thing. If we know there's that hidden guy in a mask on 3K.
Oh,
I've seen speculation that it's Doug, the one who looks like the Maker.
Yeah.
I don't think physically it really works, but possible twist.
Yeah.
I did look back at Time Slide #1, which was that issue Marvel put out last Christmas, kind of hinting at storylines for the year. Mm-hmm. The last item on one of the list of things there says 3K gene bomb, which sounds a lot like the X virus. So that's evidence that it would be them.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool because, towards the end of this, I mean, we'll get to this point, but there's an allusion to stopping something that happened in the past.
Oh, yeah.
That led to all this. And maybe that, once this series wraps up, people go back in time in order to stop whatever that activity was.
I mean, just as a comic book reader, we know this is all going to be rolled back at some point. This is not going to be the actual future of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, of course not.
But we'll get there somehow. I did look back at Time Slide #1, and Cable and Bishop were going through various time periods, and one of the time periods they go through seems like an early draft of the Age of Revelation.
Interesting.
For instance, they meet Bronze in Washington, D.C., and we'll see in a little bit why that's not going to happen here. So I am curious to see Bronze and what she's doing in the real Age of Revelation too. I think she's in that exceptional type book.
Yeah.
So whoever's ultimately responsible, Revelation sure takes advantage of the situation. This is when he moves into Philadelphia, originally just to kind of help with the disaster, but he starts to run the joint.
Yeah. Never trust somebody that voluntarily moves to Philadelphia. That's how you know he's the villain.
Spoke. Yeah. So his voice of God ability is discovered to be even more powerful than we knew. He can command plants to grow and bear fruit. He can command land to provide food, water, and shelter. He's really a reality warper now, kind of like that weirdo Jamie Braddock. Yeah. But also, it's starting to sound a lot like Krakoa, right?
Yeah,
the land itself giving food and shelter.
Yeah, no, I think he's remembering that, and that's in part why a portion of the mutant population is on board with his vision.
Yeah, they all remember that being better days.
Yep.
So this is when Doug announced to the world that he's not just here to help clean up Philadelphia and give it back. He's going to set up shop here, like Leonardo DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street.
I'm not fucking leaving.
Well, he is not leaving, and the U.S. government doesn't take this move lightly. I mean, sure, it is only Philadelphia, but it's the principle of the thing, right? You can't take any city, even Philly. So they send soldiers in wearing gas masks. Doug just commands them to surrender. Guess they should have had earplugs in too. The government sends in assassins. Mutants loyal to Doug protect him, and we see Psylocke killing an assassin who looks like maybe Bullseye?
Yeah, that's a question.
Also, Psylocke's soul sword can physically cut things again. We have to call that out every time. It's the rule. Next thing the U.S. government does is maybe the last thing the U.S. government does. It sends a B-2 stealth bomber to drop a giant, probably nuclear bomb on Philadelphia. Now, I mean, who among us hasn't contemplated doing that at some point? But this plan backfires. Doug has Vanisher on his side. Vanisher is a longtime X-villain dating back all the way to X-Men #2, as in the original Stan and Jack X-Men #2. His deal is teleportation. He was on the Sword teleportation team in the Krakoan era, in Ruben's favorite sword book there.
Yep.
And Doug has Fabian Cortez on his side too. So Cortez amps up Vanisher's teleportation powers. Vanisher's able to overcome the anti-teleport shields around the nation's capital, and he teleports that bomb right over Washington, D.C. Hence, there's a giant crater where D.C. used to be. And looking at that image, I think the artist used an aerial photo of Meteor Crater in Arizona as a close reference here, because it's just a big hole in the ground and nothing else for miles and miles.
Yeah, or Baltimore.
Probably not Baltimore either. That is the end of the history lesson. So we're up to date. Now let's talk about the brief glimpses of this future world we get as Zorn travels through it towards his destination. Zorn reminds us that he is both a mutant and an X-Man, tells us there's a lot of mutants around these days, but not so many X-Men. We see a team of mutants, not X-Men, bring down a U.S. Air Force jet. So I guess there is still something called the U.S. Air Force. These flying mutants are called Seraphim, which is a word meaning a certain class of angels. And here in the Age of Revelation, Seraphim is the name given to 4 of Revelation's top mutant enforcers. One of these Seraphim, Chrome, transmutes the jet into marble, causing it to crash. Now, Chrome was a pretty deep cut. He was one of Magneto's original acolytes. His deal is he's basically Firestorm minus the dual personality, transmuting elements and compounds. Before this issue, he had appeared in all of 4 comic book issues, all of them in 1991. He died in his 4th appearance, so we have to presume he was resurrected off-panel in Krakoa. Chrome is the only member of the Seraphim directly named by Zorn. Looking at this picture and a picture later on and going through some wikis, I think I know who the other 3 are. So not 100% confident, but we'll give it a shot. I think we have Dragoness, Tamara Kurtz. She's the lady with the crop-top scale armor and bionic wings. Her deal is generating and storing bioelectricity. In the 1990s, Strife recruited her into his Mutant Liberation Front, so she is, canonically, a MILF. The other woman, the redhead with the pink glow around her, seems to be Strobe, Juliana Worthing.
Okay.
You know that name?
No, I don't. I was like, what the hell is Jean Grey doing on this team? But that
there's a couple of characters who look like Jean. I don't think Jean Grey appears in this, but every redhead I'm going, is that Jean Grey?
Yeah.
Now, this is Strobe, who was also, yes, a 1990s MILF. Can't have too many of those, I say.
I mean, if this is going to be a Age of Apocalypse homage, grabbing all of the 90s characters is a good choice. Plus, you can kill these characters off and nobody's going to give a damn. So,
indeed.
I think good choices.
Dragoness and Strobe did appear together in one Krakoan issue early on in Ed Brisson's New Mutants. And even more recently, Strobe was part of the Mutant Salvation Front in the Infinity comic. Remember that group that Wildchild had put together?
Mm-hmm.
She was in there. Her deal, besides flying, is generating energy shields, hence the pink glow around her, and also blasts of heat and light. The final dude, the one in the golden cape, can't identify him on the first page, but at the later page, I'm pretty sure he's Hellion, Julian Keller.
Mm-hmm.
Seen just recently in NYX, where we were reminded he and Laura Kinney used to be an item, which may or may not come up in the Age of Revelation. His main deal is telekinesis. Some authors give him a little bit of telepathy. Okay, moving on from the Seraphim. Next, we see Zorn travel to a place called Helicarrierville, which is like this shanty town of mutants living in the shadow of a huge wrecked helicarrier. We go on to a glimpse of the future. That is a massive statue of Fabian Cortez. Here he's called Saint Cortez, and the plaque says this was erected at the site of his rescue from unjust sapiens, i.e. baseline human, captivity, and elevation to his holy station. So taking that botched raid of S.H.I.E.L.D. and making it into a fabulous victory. We get the huge barren crater where Washington, D.C. used to be. Talked about that already. Now Zorn hikes through the wilderness past a bust of Doug Ramsey carved into a mountainside, a la the faces at Mount Rushmore. We then peek in on Dougie himself in the seat of his power, Philadelphia, PA. Revelation doesn't have horsemen. He has choristers, which is a word meaning a member of a choir, particularly a church choir. Appropriate for Doug, his vocal abilities, all these angelic kind of references, the word works. Fabian Cortez is one of these choristers, and the others, well, that is Cora of the Burning Heart there, I think, right? With that glowing abdomen.
Looks like it, yeah.
She also has a power-enhancing power, like Fabian Cortez, which makes me think maybe all of these choristers have that kind of power. That's why he keeps them around, so that boosts his power up even higher and higher.
And that's what he said he was trying to do, was get
More power.
more people. Yeah.
Turn it up to 11, 12, 13.
Yeah.
So if they're all power enhancers, the redhead in the background, maybe that's Hope?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
I've seen other folks on the internet suggest that this is someone named Topaz, who was a Gail Simone character from a 2018 Domino miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is Hope, though.
Which would be wild. How did she get back?
Yeah, so maybe my guess is just kooky, and maybe there's going to be this Topaz lady.
Yeah.
But that kind of golden M headdress that associated with Jean and Hope and Phoenix type people, that made me think that direction.
Yeah, I could see. I think you said Topaz is the character.
Yeah, I've never heard of her, but yeah, some people on the internet are saying that.
I would think if Hope shows back up again, it's to save the world, not to be a random chorister.
Well, I mean, Doug can command people to do kind of whatever he wants. We don't really know the limit of that power yet.
Yeah. Well, Hope is just an avatar of the Phoenix, right? Isn't that what we finally concluded?
Oh boy, that Phoenix stuff, that makes my brain melt. The Phoenix is Jean. Jean is the Phoenix. I don't know who Hope is anymore.
My conclusion of Hope was that Hope was essentially the Phoenix made manifest as a human. Very biblical.
Well, maybe she'll be in the binary series. Maybe this is just Topaz.
Yeah.
Last
I'm
guy
looking
on the
these characters
panel,
up now.
Last guy on the panel is an Asian man who, by first thought, being Ben Liu, but he's not a power enhancer. He's just the one who makes people think that San Francisco is being invaded. The only guess I've seen on the internet is another deep-cut power-enhancing character. Jed McKay likes his deep cuts. And the suggestion is that this is a guy named Zachary, codename Amp. He comes from a Cena Grace Iceman run in 2017. Amp also shows up in a 2018 Typhoid Mary event called Typhoid Fever. In one of those issues, Zachary gets sexually assaulted by Typhoid Mary. Comics.
Great.
So those are just kind of guesses. We'll find out eventually. We should mention now that in this future time period, Doug looks again like he did at the end of Heir of Apocalypse, right after Apocalypse did his thing to him, right? Totally buff, totally white skin, big Egyptian kind of look to him, and looking kind of crazed. He's no longer our little buddy Doug Ramsey. He is Revelation. Zorn's narration boxes say that Zorn doesn't think Doug was mad, as in crazy, back when he joined up with the Alaskan X-Men, but he does think that he is mad now. Moving on from Revelation and his choristers, Zorn passes through more wilderness, and then a group of what he calls Babbles, which are humans and mutants who have incurred Revelation's wrath in some form, and so Revelation took their language from them, stripped from their minds the very concept of communication. So not a lot of chit-chat at dinner. We learn that the children here, who maybe the children didn't have their language stripped away, because these children are expected to spy on their parents and report back up to Quentin Quire all about that. So Omega Kids is going to deal with this little thing right here.
Yeah.
Zorn passes on past the Babbles, and on the final page of the issue, we see him arrive at the place where the rest of the X-Men of this time period are all holed up. We've got Cyclops, who behind his visor might be missing his right eye, which is also an Age of Apocalypse thing. We see Glob Herman in his Rambo outfit with the patches. We see Magneto standing, wearing a feathery purple cloak, and I wonder what the status of his resurrection illness is in this time period. We have Beast. We have
Schwarzschild.
He's there as well. We saw him on a cover, so we knew he was with the X-Men, but we confirmed that here.
Yep.
We've got two winged people. The winged person in front is Jennifer Starkey from the current X-Men book. The sketches at the back say that her new code name is going to be Animalia. Okay. I don't know who the other winged figure is. Long red hair, muscular. I've seen a guess online that this might be Joshua Guthrie. Yes, one of the many, many Guthrie mutant siblings. One of Cannonball's brothers.
Mm-hmm.
That's somebody has wings and red hair, so that works. There's another unknown figure in front of that, perhaps Guthrie. Somebody probably male, long brown hair, red bandana. I have no guesses who this might be. And I haven't even seen any guesses for this guy on the internet.
Yeah.
You going to reveal to us, Ruben, who this is?
No, I'm not.
No idea. So in the book's final panel, Scott says that he's glad Zorn has finished his history book because, and this is a quote, "My younger self is going to need to know what happened and how this is all our fault." Younger self. So is the tangled Scott Summers timeline going to get even more tangled? He's been to the future with Baby Cable. He's been sent back in time to Victorian England to meet Mr. Sinister. He's been time displaced from the Stan and Jack era to the Bendis era. He's been all over. So what younger self do you think Scott means? Do you think he means like the current 2025 X-Men Scott? Or do you think
That's
he
my
means even younger
prediction.
than that?
That's my prediction. I'm guessing this Age of Revelation is going to culminate in sending this book back to the current X-Men story. And then Scott will get it, and then he'll intervene and stop the 3K gene bomb.
Maybe that'll be our 2 time periods, right? If Age of Revelation 0 starts when he's allowed on the team, then maybe that kind of more like our current day time period could be the Age of Revelation, and the X years from now could be the, what we're seeing at the end of this book.
Yeah.
Could be.
I like Magneto's look. I think that his coat has like a bunch of like metal feathers. So I'm assuming his powers are back under control and he'll be able to do something with them.
Yeah, I hope so. Seeing Magneto doing cool stuff is always a good thing.
I want to know why Beast is like kind of light blue, though, almost white. It's very strange.
Yeah, he doesn't look like totally bestial. He doesn't look like Dark Beast, but he's definitely a little bit different than we had last seen him. We don't have any dialogue from him yet, but always curious what he's up to.
Yeah, and I like Zorn, so seeing Zorn have something to do is kind of exciting.
We've been waiting for Zorn to have his moment, and this is it. Yep. That's the status quo at the beginning of the Age of Revelation event. U.S. government basically gone. Doug running a loose mutant confederation based around Philadelphia. The X-Men are in hiding, and Scott has a cockamamie time travel plan to put things back the way they should be.
Yeah,
that's the issue. And Ruben, I kind of loved it.
I love it too, and I think Ramos's art is awesome in here. I'm just looking at it; it's like detailed, but like still cartoony, but not. I don't know. Looking at this art, I think this would stand the test of time a lot more than the original art.
Yeah, I wonder how long he was working on this, because it's not hyper detailed, but it has a lot going on in the background. A ton of characters you had to draw here, right? Existing characters, new characters, future variations on characters. So this was a whole ton of work.
Yeah. I looked at some pictures of Philadelphia, and he did a really good job of depicting the city.
Nice. We see some of the sketches in the back where they were developing the characters. That's always kind of fun. That's where I got the name Animalia from.
I also laughed at Doug. He gets his hair back, and then once he becomes evil Doug, he like shaves it.
Yeah,
I was like, okay.
It basically, as he gets more and more evil, he gets more and more like Apocalypse.
Yeah,
that works. Yeah, so I am totally looking forward to October. I'm almost kind of dreading the next couple of months. Are these books just going to be spinning their wheels until something really happens? But that's a next week problem.
Yeah.
This week, we've got a creative original story, still evoking the Age of Apocalypse, but a little different. Clear, dynamic art. Color difference between history and future is a smart choice, makes it really clear what's happening when. And while there are mysteries, they feel like intentional mysteries. Like, what's the cockamamie Cyclops plan going to be? Why did some characters go with Revelation, others oppose him? Mm-hmm. And most of all, why did Doug go so wrong, right? We know Doug was, last we saw him, was being super, super serious about what does it mean to be the heir of Apocalypse? I'm going to do it differently. I'm not going to be just like him.
And then
what
he does
does
exactly
survival
the same
of the
thing.
fittest mean? And he does exactly the same thing. So I'm hoping there's a good explanation besides just power corrupting that shows us how it went this way.
Yeah, and there's another interesting detail when you were talking about the government and, the land being kind of like Krakoa.
Yeah.
Basically becomes inhospitable to non-mutants. The Earth does, or a portion of the Earth. So it's basically Krakoa brought back. And then they say that it's like expanding. So eventually it's gone from like Philadelphia to like the entire Eastern Seaboard. But I think that
3K's plan makes them seem more guilty because they want to take over the whole world with mutants.
But I do think that the U.S. still exists. It's just not on wherever this like new Krakoa is. You can't have non-mutants there.
Right. And it's going to be totally different because presumably most of the federal government got, they basically nuked themselves by accident. So whatever that's been rebuilt may be called the USA, but it's going to be different.
Yeah. I'm assuming it's going to be one of those anti-mutant groups that's kind of taken charge.
Oh, the flat scanning states of America?
Yeah. Which, given what's going on, I wouldn't be totally shocked, right? Like they've turned non-mutants into like barbarian
once again,
tribal people.
The people who hate and fear mutants, they have at least a little bit of a point.
Yeah.
Bad things keep happening. So to wrap this up, I'm going to give Age of Revelation number 0, 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
Best
me too.
X-Office issue I've read in a long time. Makes me super excited for an event I was kind of dreading. Now I'm looking forward to it. And Ruben, you're the same?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought Jed McKay has like a clear idea. He's telling a real story, and everything about it I'm excited about. Even looking at the Overture issue where you've got like Revelation and Apocalypse, his portraits on like opposite sides.
Ooh. Yeah, where is Apocalypse now? I didn't even think of that.
What's going on here?
Because he would have some reaction to what's going on with his heir.
Yep.
Even if we only see him kind of looking on from the outside and, making comments. I'm curious what he thinks. About
Apocalypse, too, I'm kind of curious what the current status is with him, because at least during the Hickman era, everyone said that, like, his whole purpose of survival of the fittest was to, like, prepare Earth to deal with, what was that realm that his half of the world went to?
Oh, Okara?
Okara, yeah.
One? Or was that the one was together? There's Krakoa, Okara, Araco. So Okara was the one where they were together, and Araco was the other half that is now on Earth.
Yeah. But there was that demon dimension, right? And his whole thing was like, we have to protect Earth for like when that dimension attacks again. And it felt like it kind of got controlled. So like, why is he still bent on survival of the fittest?
I don't remember what it said in Heir of Apocalypse where he was going off to, because he said he was turning Earth over to Doug. Was he going to Mars?
He is on Araco, yeah. Okay. And we've seen him. Like I told you, he fought the character whose name I keep forgetting that had like the big sword and got cut in half.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so we do have that one, the anthology book is going to have something about Araco with Al Ewing. So maybe we see him in that book.
Yeah.
Okay, that is a really great book. It is time to move on to something less earth-shattering, but still all right. This is Exceptional X-Men number 11, written by Eve Ewing, art by Federica Mancini, colors by Nolan Woodard, letters by Travis Lanham. This issue starts a new arc, an arc that'll last 3 issues up to the Revelation event, and it continues the trend of putting a little more action into this superhero comic book, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, Gray was asking me about this one, and I actually found myself enjoying this a lot more than I expected.
Yeah, I have things to pick on, but it's a pretty good book. They're still doing the relationship conversational thing, and Eve Ewing's voice for the characters continues to be good, but she's mixing in some actual like comic book superhero events happening, which is good. So
I usually think these like random guest star issues are terrible, but I even thought Ironheart's appearance was kind of enjoyable.
For the most part, yeah, she was all right. So the exceptional teams are wandering around, teens that is, they're wandering around Chicago, unsupervised, when they just conveniently happen to come across a glowing cosmic anomaly sitting there on a park bench. One of these coincidences, Superman always runs into the bad guys. The Spider-Man is always in the convenience store when the robbers show up. So I can go with the coincidence.
Yeah, it's just sort of a goofy thing, but I actually like that it's just this goofy thing and the people are just like, how do we handle this? Mm-hmm. What the hell is this?
It's not very big, just a little glowing thing that Melee calls a space swirly. Axo, as usual, he's the only remotely sensible member of the group, at least if we forget his whole working for Sheldon Xenos thing. Mm-hmm. Axo says, hey, we should probably call Kitty and or Emma about this.
Yeah.
Other two think, no, we're superheroes now. We're totally experienced enough to deal with this thing. We don't even know what it is. Well, I don't even know what deal with it means in this situation.
I don't think they know either, but they're living up to this idea of like being a team and that they're going to have to deal with superhero stuff.
Yeah, they feel like they just defeated Mr. Sinister, even if maybe it was like a nerfed clone version of Mr. Sinister. So they're feeling kind of big for their britches.
Yeah.
And while they argue about what to do, Tank
and we know
shows
Mealy
up.
wants to be a hero, right? We've been told that like repeatedly.
Yeah, she's been acting like she wants to be a pro hero, if we want to use My Hero Academia terms.
Yeah.
So as they're arguing, this guy named Tank shows up. Now, this is not Tank as in Colossus pretend to be a robot. This is Tank, who is a mutant, has control over changing his own molecular size and structure, and is also particularly interested in teleportation, interdimensional travel. This Tank has appeared in exactly one previous issue, as called out in the editorial footnote, and that is Ironheart number 6, written by, of course, Eve Ewing. So Tank grabs Bronze, but Bronze bronzes out and honestly does pretty well fighting back against him with her bronze tentacles.
Yep.
She doesn't get a chance to finish the job because Ironheart flies in to join the fray. We get a short fight scene. Tank teleports out without the space swirly he was so interested in. I like this bit here at the end where Bronze uses her tentacles to catch Ironheart before she crashes into the ground. Like a nice creative use of this ability.
Yep.
We learned that, small world, Bronze and Ironheart met at a cookout years ago. The older relatives have a connection. Seems to have made more of an impression on Bronze than Ironheart, because Bronze probably hadn't turned all immunity yet, but Riri was already a super genius.
Yeah, and I could see this, right? We've already seen that she's very impressed by people and also kind of annoying. Like, I don't know that I would be all into her, but she'd probably, if she was part of my family, she'd probably be all into me.
Yeah, she was like a celebrity, I think. Riri was like already a celebrity as a kid, so people would remember.
Yeah.
So Ironheart spouts some science talk about the space swirly, uses the terms null interval and Minkowski metric, which are real terms connected to general relativity, bending of space-time, appropriate for an object like this and a character like Tank and Ironheart.
Yeah.
So the group parts ways and the kids go off to their mutant meeting with the grown-ups. Turns out Kitty is throwing them a happy team-anniversary party. Not they've been together for a year. I mean, I was happy to see Bobby call that out explicitly. I was already going to type up a cranky, hey, you haven't been together for a year yet, but Bobby calls it out.
Yeah.
They're really just celebrating not getting killed fighting that Mr. Sinister clone. And really the emotional point of this scene, as I smack my microphone, is to juxtapose Kitty telling them how much they've matured, with them then sharing the story of the space swirly and demonstrating to her, yeah, they're not that mature. Dialogue here really good. Each relationship is distinct and consistent. The art in this scene is not the greatest. Kitty especially looks like she's been beaten around the head and neck with the ugly stick. She is homely.
Yeah.
That one panel with her holding the team anniversary cake, my gosh.
Yeah, she kind of changes, right? Like you see her in the Happy Team Anniversary panels, she looks okay. And then the one you talk about looks really bad. And then the next one, she looks kind of okay again. And then not so great again. Yeah. It's very all over the place.
And a lot of the characters here are changing image to image, panel to panel. Faces just not consistent. I want to say with Iceman, that could be okay because maybe his ice changed. I think I'm giving too much credit there. I think it's just the art is inconsistent. This scene ends with Kitty being vocally unhappy with her own teenage years with the X-Men. I guess that makes sense, but you'd think she would have processed all that better by now. She's been doing this a while. Even if you talk about sliding timeline, this didn't happen last year for her.
Yeah, but she didn't really want to be part of this team at all, right? She kind of got forced into it. So
yeah.
I think she's kind of on edge already.
Yeah, she is. She's
begrudgingly a teacher, is my thought.
Yeah, she has a lot of stuff going on, but I would think just right now it seems to be very much about her looking back at her own time as Shadowcat on the X-Men and kind of wishing it hadn't happened. Which doesn't feel like Kitty to me, but that's one interpretation of the character.
I'm okay with it. Because I think her time on the X-Men eventually led her to the point where she was, again, Shadowcat, killed all those workers' people, and then at the beginning of the series, she was regretting it.
Yeah, okay.
And she didn't want to be part of the X-Men. The only reason she's here is because the kids showed up and then Emma was going to teach them. And she was like, oh, I'm not going to let Emma Frost be their only teacher. So I think she's the begrudging teacher.
Now, Bobby seems personally hurt by Kitty's reaction, which again makes perfect sense given their relationship and their history.
Yeah.
Now we get a quick scene between Kitty and her maybe girlfriend Nina. Nina wants to put more of a label on the relationship. Kitty very much does not want to talk about that right now, maybe ever.
And that one page where Nina's kissing Kitty, it looks like her face is melting into Nina's face.
Well, it's kind of squished up.
That cheek is really weirdly extended into the face.
You could see here maybe that's the faces pushing together. Yeah, that panel didn't jump out at me as being awful, but
it looks bad to me.
It is. The faces are different every panel. Back at the Space Swirly, we see Ironheart still sticking around there, doing analysis on the thing, talking to her AI. Which reminds me, Ruben, I did turn off my smart speaker today, so I can say, "Okay, Ruben, all I want," without getting interrupted.
Yeah.
Nice. Gold star.
There's a thing that's really strange to me about this, just as a total nit, is in some scenes we have the crowd standing around taking photos of Rory and the ex-teens and being really into it, and then in this scene it seems like everybody's just back to it's we're at the park, who cares? They're walking around.
And in some panels it's nobody's around. Other panels there's lots of people.
Yeah.
Again, just inconsistency in the art and even in the angles. Some angles, it seems like we were doing the Dutch angle thing, but not all the people in the scene are at the correct angle. They're some of them are really crooked one way or the other. Just bugged me a bit. So we're here with Ironheart. She's doing all her measurements. The AI says it will draw in people who are temporally sensitive or people with a connection to it. Pretty vague. I hope that gets clear as we go on. Riri's conclusion is that Tank didn't make this thing. He just found it, which I thought was already established, but I guess when Riri showed up, she might have thought otherwise. And this is where I think Riri makes a really, really dumb choice. And I don't know enough about her as a character to say if it's an in-character bad choice or an out-of-character bad choice.
Yeah.
Because Riri just flies off to go back to her lab for some more calculations and leaves the anomaly there on the park bench totally unguarded.
Yeah,
right?
I have a hard time buying that.
Doesn't put up a tape saying crime scene. Doesn't even put up a paper sign saying peligro, right? I learned that Spanish word from Sesame Street. You can't just leave this line around. It's dangerous.
She's got to be connected to somebody, right? You call the Avengers or something?
Yeah, even just the Chicago PD, right? We don't need a superhero necessarily. We need something putting up a barrier saying, don't touch the space swirly.
Yeah. Who's that Avenger guy? Do you remember his name that's like got the 3 athletic? He's like got the ability of like 3 athletes or something.
Oh, yeah. He's like 3D man.
3D man, yeah. You call it 3D man, get him over here. He's probably got the skills to sit here and watch things swirly.
That's all you need, for sure.
Yeah.
Or, hey, we haven't seen Multiple Man. He could set up a cordon all by himself.
Yeah.
So after Riri leaves, the space swirly, I guess it leaves the park bench because we see it on the ground nearby.
Yeah, this part's the thing that's confusing to me. Is it like a separate portal that appears, or like?
I don't think so. I think it's the same one. I think we know it's growing, and I think it's also moving, which it hadn't done until now.
Yeah.
It should have been made more clear in the art or the dialogue that something different is happening.
Yeah.
So that kid named Reggie walks by. He goes to school with Bronze. We saw him in issue 4. He and Bronze have mutual crushes on each other, but don't know it, so they're both being kind of teenage shy. The book makes us think that Reggie is going to fall into the anomaly, but he just makes like Dionne Warwick and walks on by. That joke is just for Jim. Jim, I hope you liked it. But Kitty doesn't walk on by. She's too busy breaking the fourth wall, talking to us about her relationship and mentoring problems. Her last line to us is, I feel like I'm at a crossroads. And then she falls right the hell into the portal. Boom, issue over. Reggie sees that this has happened, so I'm guessing that he'll be the one to alert Bronze and the rest of the gang. But the lesson to us all is, don't break the fourth wall. And if you do, don't do it walking around in a park, might fall into a portal. So, a pretty decent issue. I much prefer this balance of action and character work to the overly talky stuff we're getting there for a stretch.
Yeah.
The art I've already complained about. It's like a caricature look in places. Not really to my taste. Doesn't get in the way of the story, but to me the art is not itself a draw.
Oh yeah, the art's
Apologies
terrible.
for the unintended pun there.
I like the action though, and I mean I like the fact that the environments are pretty good. Like I can tell that they're in locations. It's really the characters that
the action's pretty good.
I struggle with.
The one splash page where Tank grabs Bronze, she looks like an action figure. She looks like a stiff doll. Yeah. But the action is better than just the regular people faces. And that's really what bugs me. So if we're going to spend the next 2 issues trying to rescue Kitty, and Kitty probably coming to terms with her life as a superhero, again, it's not the worst possible idea. Could be fun. I'll give Exceptional X-Men number 11 a 7.3 out of 10. It would have been like 7.5 or higher. The art drags it down a little bit.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm just going to give it a straight 7, but that's much higher than I've been giving this series in the past. And I actually found this to be like more an even sweet spot, right? If you want to have these like character moments, but like have something actually happening while they're like having these character moments, I'm on board, right?
100%.
It's like she's been trying to do this character stuff and it just starts annoying me because nothing else is happening in the story. And just like, God, like
it was like that slice of life She-Hulk book that I stopped reading where nothing was really happening. It was all just relationship talk.
Yeah.
Where here you get some of that relationship talk, friend relationship talk, but we also get, space anomalies and supervillains and fighting, which it's a Marvel comic book. That's what we want.
Yeah. And I thought the banter and the jokes were pretty good. I mean, not like the funniest thing I've ever read, but it was sort of like heartwarming for me at least. I was like, I like these characters more and their interactions with each other. They're not
and the characters have defined personalities and they act not just like generic Marvel characters saying generic Marvel quips.
Yeah.
Axo doesn't sound like Bronze, doesn't sound like Melee, doesn't sound like Kitty or Emma or Riri even. They're all distinct characters, which is sadly not as common in comic books these days as you might like it to be. Okay, that was Exceptional X-Men number 11. Now let's move on to Giant Size House of KaMala, with a capital M, number 1. This is, thankfully, the penultimate issue in this Giant Size KaMala Con event.
Yeah.
We've got 2 stories. The front up is called A Sweet and Perfect World, written by the Brain Trust, Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly. The art is by Francesco Manna, and the colors are by Edgar Delgado. Back up is Thieves' Honor, written by Saladin Ahmed, art by Martin Kokolo. It's really just a house ad for an upcoming story in the Wolverine title. But first, the front up. One thing to note about this particular giant size issue is that, as far as I can tell, KaMala has absolutely zero impact on this world. Doesn't change anything at all. She's just kind of a tourist, and we see some things through her eyes, but she doesn't make anything happen. At the end of the previous one, Giant Size Age of Apocalypse, KaMala asked the Macron crystals for Utopia, so it sent her and Legion into the House of M timeline, which is a mutant utopia created by the Scarlet Witch. In this world, the mutants are on top, humanity's on the bottom, just the way 3K likes it, and everybody is ruled by Magneto. KaMala pops into existence here in the bathroom of a middle school. Kind of sus, KaMala. The first thing she does is to stop some mutants from harassing a human, which, fine. Bullying is bad. This podcast is against bullying. But KaMala is so annoying, she makes me want to root for the bullies. She actually says, "My mutant power is calling the principal." Oof, that's not good. That's not good at all. The picked on human girl mentions that her teacher is somebody named Kitty Pryde, and we're off to the races. I do like this meeting between Kitty and KaMala, because Kitty is damn near the only character in this whole saga who doesn't automatically trust every word coming out of KaMala's mouth. Kitty sees a college student walking into her middle school classroom, babbling about diverging timelines, and thinks, hey, you must be clinically insane.
Yes.
Very reasonable position.
Yes. Yeah, I was like, this is the best Kitty that I've seen in a while.
But then Layla Miller and Wolverine show up at the school to talk to Kitty, exactly what happened in the original House of M, and now Kitty believes them. I did like that Logan seems to remember Ms. Marvel from prior giant-size incidents.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, he says she only shows up when, stuff is really about to start hitting the fan. A nice detail there, and it is kind of weird that Logan is the one with the good memory, but I like it. I also like that he also thinks that KaMala's one-liners are very cringy. And then we just kind of watch the rest of House of M play out and fast forward. Yeah, KaMala does tell the heroes about Legion being there. Yeah, KaMala makes another boring speech about heroism and saving the world and being an X-Men and junk like that. But the heroes still go after Magneto, keeping him distracted so that Legion can go after the Scarlet Witch. Because Legion, kind of like Doug, he's after power. I wonder why Legion doesn't go for Fabian Cortez. I guess because we need this event to happen. That's why. So Legion wants the power to get to the white-hot room so he can reunite with David Haller. So first Legion kills Wanda's last 2 guards. Is that Iceman and Johnny Storm? I don't know who else that fire guy would be. I don't remember that part from House of M. Maybe somebody else does. But it doesn't matter. They're dead. And then Legion is able to mind control Wanda into saying those 3 magic words. No more mutants. Boom, the decimation happens. Most mutants in the whole world are depowered. Only 198 left. Mass panic at the Xavier School. Now, in the original event, all the energy that was stripped out of most of the world's mutants went into one dude in Alaska, a mailman named Michael Pointer. But this time, Legion takes it all. KaMala has another chat with Kitty Pryde, and this time Kitty makes up for their earlier conversation by kissing KaMala's rear end and saying just how much smarter and wiser KaMala is than anyone else in the world. So now we just need to wrap things up, get ready for the final issue. Thank God, which will be Giant Size X-Men number 2. But this issue doesn't end with a timeline jump. Every other issue ended with jumping into what the next thing was.
Yeah.
This one ends by KaMala narking to the X-Men that Beast has a time machine, which I guess is the time machine that will result in the displaced version of the original 5. I think it's that time machine.
Yeah.
KaMala says, I've got to go back to the future, which makes Logan cringe, and me.
Yes.
He just like me, FR. And then we end on a panel of a superly powered-up Legion saying, "Indeed, little one, and we'll be waiting." So there you have it. It was giant-size House of M, pretty much the same as original House of M, but ironically, smaller. So this issue, I think it looks great. Right? We've talked about it being hard to draw so many versions of so many characters. Francesco Manna does really good versions of a lot of X characters. But yeah, the story lacks weight. The dialogue is painful. I am so ready to wrap this thing up. How about you?
Yeah, it's dragged a little too long. I do like this idea that because she appeared in all these locations, these people are now remembering her.
Yeah, that little bit of continuity is nice.
So that's cool, and it kind of makes me wonder, like, will her status quo with the mutants be different when she returns? I'm sure not. Like, all
I
of this
expect
will be
it's all going
forgotten.
to be erased. I think it'll be like right on panel. I expect a magic wand to be waved and said, "Oh yeah, KaMala Khan has learned something about herself and being a mutant, but none of the past history is going to be changed."
Yeah. I wish this was more meaningful, right? Like, I'd be okay with that, like that she was just a blip and they all remember her from that, because it doesn't, in my mind, erase the first time you went through all these worlds.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then you could have a different relationship of her. She would no longer be the kind of klutzy, bubbling, but optimistic mutant that she is currently portrayed as. But I don't think Marvel actually wants to get beyond that. They want to keep her in that role.
Probably. I mean, maybe we'll see her act, but we will see her in Age of Revelation. I hope she acts a little less annoying to me. I don't really know the character so well. I haven't read all her origin stories, so I don't know if this is her being written differently or if I just don't like the character, period.
Yeah.
We should mention the backup briefly. It is the one written by Saladin Ahmed. It vaguely ties into House of M, because in the original House of M, we're told that here in this utopia, Logan gets back all of his tangled memories. Now, of course, this would not stick because, as we continue to see, Logan's missing memories are used as plot devices up to the present day, right? With him and his mom and
so much his only character trait.
Yeah. But this story tells us about him remembering one time when he was in Prohibition-era Chicago and he was working for a particular mobster. This mobster is going to be gunned down by a rival. He gives Logan a signet ring that, it's like the ring we're going to talk about in Imperial. That means you're the one in charge. Mm-hmm. He wants this ring to go to his own son to show that his son is the true heir, the next boss of this mob family. And I guess Logan gets distracted or preoccupied because we then jump 100 years into the future.
Yes.
Logan's back in Chicago, brings the ring to the current heir, a lady named Donna. So this story will be continued in Wolverine number 13, which is the last issue of Wolverine before Age of Revelation. So maybe this is all just prelude to what's going to be a one-shot.
And Donna is basically Tulsi Gabbard, right?
Yeah, is that what you got out of her?
That's
just from physically?
No, just the look. And Tulsi Gabbard's got that like streak of white hair in her hair now. It looks exactly the same to me.
I'm flipping through the pages. Could be. Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah. Or Rogue. She could be Rogue. I mean, Rogue has that as well.
Yeah, Rogue's got more of it as like a poof on top, right? It doesn't like go down. But anyways, the art style just kind of made me laugh.
Yeah, so this looks fine. It's completely okay. But again, it's just an ad for, maybe it's so we can have 3 more pages in the one shot to make the story work. I don't know. Yeah, overall, this is a 5 out of 10 book. I'm ready to finish this up. Yeah. Where are you at?
5. Is it a 5? This little story is not interesting, but it's not terribly written, so I'll be a little more positive. I'll say 5.5.
Positive 5.5.
Yeah. I thought I was going to get more out of this, though, having read House of M maybe a year or 2 ago. I was like, oh, I'm going to bring my deep knowledge to this, and it's the most basic pitch.
Just fast forwarded it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we've talked about that plenty. Moving on to our final issue, and hey listeners, we finished up talking about the X books for this week. Ruben and I are now going to talk about the latest issue of Jonathan Hickman's Imperial series. So if you're only here for the X, feel free to move on with your day. Go on, hit another podcast. I hear Joe Rogan's pretty popular. Whatever you want to do, we'll see you next time. Everybody else who cares about Marvel Comic or Cosmic or Jonathan Hickman, here we go. This is Imperial number 2 of 4, written by Jonathan Hickman, art by Iban Coelho and Federico Vicentini, colors by Federico Blee, 2 Federicos on 1 book, that's unusual, lettered by Corey Pettit and Ariana Mayer, 2 letterers on 1 book, also unusual. This issue isn't as long as Imperial #1, but it is still slightly oversized. I expect Ruben will need less time to go into all the world building and character identification.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get through it fairly quickly. Listeners, you may now look at the time remaining on your podcast app to see just how much of a liar I turn out to be.
I have a random question for you.
Sure, hit me.
What's his name? No, who's the son of Wanda that's in a relationship with Hulkling?
Okay, so Hulkling and...
Wiccan. There we go, Wiccan.
Yeah.
Work, brain work. Is Wiccan the son from House of M? Like one of her kids?
Yes. So they had Wiccan is, and then there's the speedster type one.
Speed. That's just his name.
Is it called Speed? Okay, because I know there's a magic-y one and a speedy one.
Yeah.
And they come out of, and it's words go back and forth. Are they real? Are they fictional?
Yeah.
But yeah, so Wiccan and Dorek, the 8th, who is Hulkling, they're currently missing.
Yeah.
Right? Presumed dead, but probably not actually dead. I don't think they let Hickman kill off Hulkling. So we open with a cast of characters, very helpful. It kind of reminds me, just looking at this kind of can remind you of what has happened.
Mm-hmm.
We have Deathbird and Xandra from the Shi'ar Empire. We have the 8 individual Shi'ar Super Guardians. We have Black Panther, Shuri, and M'Baku from the Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda, which I'm just going to call Space Wakanda. Now, Ruben, we talked about this a little bit last week, but I am not up to speed on this Space Wakanda stuff.
Yeah.
We see all these characters here. Are these the T'Challa and Shuri the same people we see in the regular Marvel books and Black Panther on Earth? Or are they different people with the same names? I'm so confused.
Yeah. So it's just an interesting question. I'd say the Shuri and M'Baku characters should be different.
Okay.
So here's the gist. So basically, and I haven't finished is it Takasi Nets, something like that?
Ta-Nehisi Coates.
There you go. Ta-Nehisi Coates. His run. I started it because I was like also confused. I never read this plot line, but it's basically Star Wars. But the idea in his run was T'Challa, the one that we know, sent a delegation into space to investigate the origin of the meteor that brought
the vibranium.
Vibranium to Earth, yes. And
they get sent back in time, right?
Yes. And I think T'Challa was with them. So they all go back in time, 2,000 years into the past and in like another sector of space. And those people who were kind of displaced from time, they found Wakanda in that area. And then initially they have to like fight off aliens. And then they realize like the best defense is like an offense. And so they start warring with a bunch of other alien races and building technology. So then 2,000 years of that leads to the present, which then means that this race also exists, like in our 616.
But so T'Challa would have been there the whole 2,000 years?
Yeah, so that's the part that's really uncertain and unclear to me. Is I think their world where they are in space, like, is like time displaced.
Okay.
So somehow he survives the entire time. That's the part I haven't gotten to in the story, which doesn't make any sense to me. And also somehow they're able to interact with current time empires.
Because I was reading it as if it's like ancient Egypt or after like Alexander died, where everyone was named Ptolemy, but they were different Ptolemies. Well,
so here's the thing. So all the people that are from the exiled Wakanda race, they start taking names of historic characters.
Right.
From Wakandan history. So like M'Baku is not M'Baku that you would have known. It's like, just the descendant of the people that went stranded picks the name M'Baku to refer to themselves. And it's in part because
maybe T'Challa is T'Challa.
Well, yeah, so it's in part because the Empire starts they eventually, once they're offensive, not defensive, they start developing some technology that allows them to take people's memories. And then the people whose memories they've taken, they just turn them into slaves.
Oh.
And use the slaves to mine vibranium. And then those slaves, of course, like have a gladiator style uprising. But because they don't know who they are, they like take, the names of historic characters from Wakandan history.
Sounds confusing.
And Black Panther T'Challa was initially part of this, but like he was in a fight with the Shi'ar and then he kind of gets backstabbed and mind wiped and then thrown into the slave pits and then, regains his powers. Very similar to what's going on in Avengers right now, where he leads an uprising.
Well, we know that Hickman's goal here is to kind of revamp Marvel Cosmic and make it make more sense. So let's hope that he does something like that with the Black Panther part of it, because that's confusing as hell.
Yeah. And so apparently what I think is the T'Challa in this is T'Challa in the middle of his, like, you know, conquest of, you know, or slightly after, like, he takes back over, like, intergalactic Wakanda.
So like simultaneously, he is still existing on Earth, but this is from previously in his own timeline, kind of twisted around?
Yes, I think that's what's going on. I don't know how it works in terms of, like, the 2,000 years of existence, but I think that's what's going on.
All right. I don't know that it matters for this story, but I was curious when he runs into, like, Hulk. Like, do they know each other from being on Avengers and things? Yeah.
It's a 25-issue run, and I'm up to issue 5, so maybe the next time we have this cast, I'll finish it.
If you run into anything that clears it up, be sure to let us know.
We should have got Matt, although I don't know if Dr. Matt and Jim actually stuck it out. I know they hated that run, so maybe they bailed before it ended.
Okay, back to the cast of characters. We've done Space Wakanda. We next see Star-Lord of Spartax. I guess he's now like the king or whatever of Spartax.
Which I think is a cool development for him. I'm interested in that one.
Yeah. We see Hulk and Brawn, who is Amadeus Cho, representing Sakaar. We see Ronan the Accuser of the Kree-Skrull Empire. And we see Richard Ryder, the Nova of Xandar. Other characters are also going to appear, but this is a handy little chart. So here's where we are. A bunch of rulers of Galactic Council worlds have been assassinated using poison purchased from the Kree-Skrull Empire. At the end of the first issue, we saw a Space Wakandan, or someone dressed as a Space Wakandan, assassinate several more leaders of the Galactic Council worlds, including Star-Lord's dad. This attack has unified the rest of the worlds against Space Wakanda. We readers were shown a framing sequence, though, suggesting that other forces may be manipulating events behind the scenes for their own nefarious purposes. This issue also has a framing sequence, continuing directly from the first issues, it seems. We have two #shadowy figures playing a tabletop strategy game, but discussing the real world. One of the individuals says that all conflict comes from scarcity, which is, one historical view of how history works, kind of a Marxist view. You don't have quite as much stuff as you want. You want to take somebody else's stuff, and that's where conflict comes from. So, and this guy brings up the Galactic Council Alliance. This group of worlds wants to build stargates to make travel between them easier, but to build them, they need vibranium. Lots of vibranium. Who has all the vibranium? Space Wakanda. And Space Wakanda does not want to sell this vibranium to the Alliance. So the speaker says that is the real reason these worlds ended up at war. The assassination thing is just kind of an excuse, kind of something was going to trigger this war. This happened to be it. Very World War I, Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Would they have gone to war anyway? This is what happened. So this character, the shadowy figure, claims credit for having given them that excuse. And Ruben, we might as well spoil it now. This guy does turn out to be the Grand Master, right?
Yep. Yes, correct.
Which is what you had guessed in issue 1, so that's another good guess for you. We still only see him in shadow at the end of the issue, but we see enough. It's got to be the Grand Master.
Yeah. If it's not, I'm going to be very confused.
But yeah, it is not fully revealed, but everybody's
his face isn't on panel, but
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, this whole war, at least the way the war kicked off, is the creation of the Grand Master for reasons we aren't really lit in on, but we see the outcome of that by the end of the issue. Okay, so chapter titles continue. Issue 1 was divided into 4 chapters. Issue 2 is only 1 chapter. It's chapter 5, War. And this chapter in this issue is mostly a space battle. Pretty cool space battle. I don't know if we'll get into all the details of the battle, but it's fun to look at. Our characters learn a bit more regarding the mystery of those murdered leaders, and there is at least 1, probably 2 major double crosses. And we've jumped forward in time a bit, right? The war of everybody else versus Space Wakanda, already underway. Many ships from all the major Alliance worlds are besieging Wakanda Prime. So we've got Kree, Skrull, Shi'ar, Spartoid command vessel. They're all in the area. A shield around the planet is the only thing preventing the Allied forces from just kicking the crap out of Space Wakanda. So 3 Kree vessels charge at the shield like they want to just batter their way through. Very Kree thing to do. And when the Space Wakandans redistribute shield power to compensate, that plus a precision blast from a Shi'ar vessel temporarily opens a small hole in the shield. This allows the Shi'ar super guardians to get through the shield, and where do they go here? Are they in a vessel above the planet? I don't know. They go somewhere. There's a chaos of war, and wherever they are, they find and subdue a person wearing vibranium armor.
I think they jump to the homeworld of the Wakandans. So this would be like Planet Vast, I believe.
You think they're already down to the planet?
Yes, I think.
And then they jump back?
Yes. Well, I think what happens is I think they capture her and then somehow get ported back up.
They do capture someone who turns out to be Shuri.
Yes.
And wherever they are, they capture her. They go back onto their ship. They don't have time to interrogate her. They bring her to the Spartoi ship, which is in the rear. And hey, that means Star-Lord and Nova on the ship get to do the interrogation. Probably good for everybody, as it turns out. Shuri denies that Space Wakanda would ever stoop to assassination. She says, "We do these things without shame and in the light. We sign our names to it." Nova points out the evidence, the vibranium bullets that killed his father, the other leaders of the gathering, the purchase of the poison being traced to Wakanda, and Shuri is confused, right? And the meeting quickly transitions from interrogation to working together. Not quite sure why Nova and Star-Lord trust Shuri so quickly and so implicitly, but it's fine. We don't need 8 different chapters saying them growing in trust. We just have her on the team now, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're heroes, right? They're willing to entertain at least the possibility of some grandmaster behind the scenes playing the card.
I wonder why they could have maybe mentioned this before the space battle started.
Before they show up and
just
kill
like
a bunch of people.
Every superhero, why don't they talk before they have the fight? But this is on a massive cosmic scale. Same idea.
Yeah.
So Shuri investigates and says, okay, the money transfer seems legit. I got to let my brother know about that. Yeah. But these vibranium bullets, they're counterfeit. She tells us something. I don't know if we know this already. Maybe it's brand new information. She says, and if you have tons and tons of money and you're willing to pay astronomical prices,
you can manufacture vibranium. Yeah, I was like, really? I've never heard of this in my life, but okay.
We know that like Captain America's shield is made of artificial vibranium.
Yeah.
So we've heard something about that before, but I don't know these details.
Okay. I didn't know his was artificial. I thought it was just real.
I believe so.
Okay.
He's had multiple shields. I think at least one of his shields was artificial.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
So, but she says that, hey, most people can't tell the difference. But me, I'm a experienced Wakandan scientist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at this. I'm looking at whatever information you've given me, and I can tell, just like a jeweler can look at a diamond and say, "Oh, this one's natural, that one's lab grown."
Yeah, this
is lab grown, non-Wakandan vibranium.
Yeah,
we were set up. So back to the space battle. Black Panther and M'Baku watch from a hidden base on a Wakandan moon. They've got a secret weapon there. Basically an EMP like that guy in X Factor used every other issue, but cosmic sized. They wait until like 70% of the Allied ships are within range of a single blast of the weapon. I guess they've only got the one shot. They fire the weapon. It works. Majority of the Allied ships are now dead in the water. Not that there's water, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Advantage shifts to Space Wakanda.
Yeah, they've got their whole fleet of, attack cruisers there. I actually like this, right? Because you have like 5 empires of space fleets coming after you. I could see like the Space Wakandans not having enough ships to, go one-on-one against them.
Yeah.
And
but having a science trick up their sleeves, very Wakandan.
Yeah, you invite them to your home world, let them get attacked. They get too close to the EMP, and then you freeze them all and then send out your own fighters and clean up.
Yeah, there's also a throwaway line about the moon being made of vibranium and the vibranium amplifying the blast.
Yeah.
So science and vibranium make it work. That's Wakanda. Yep. And here the scenes start to cut back and forth very rapidly. It's intentionally chaotic, chaos of war fitting the story. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try to make sense of it. And Ruben, maybe you can chip in here too, because it gets very, very confusing.
Yeah.
On the Allied ships, naturally, lots of panic. They've all just stopped moving.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately for this side, the ship bearing Majestrix, Xandra, and Deathbird was not in range. So that ship's okay.
Yeah.
Xandra wants to rush into the battle zone to assist the dead ships, but Gladiator, who was on one of the dead ships, he ain't having that.
Yeah.
He and Deathbird, who was on the ship with Majestrix, they have a prearranged plan for situations just like this. That ship, the one that's working, is going to carry the Majestrix right the hell away from here through the nearest Stargate as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So Gladiator expects this is the end for him. Very noble sacrifice. right? I will fight and die for you. It's what I was born for.
Mhm.
Deathbird says to Gladiator, die with honor. You will be remembered.
Mhm.
Good lines. Nice moment. Black Panther and his elite Hatut Zaraze forces board one of the stilled Allied ships, which should be pretty easy pickings, but unfortunately for them, they run into two Hulks.
Yeah.
Ouch. Black Panther's blade is able to wound Hulk slightly, surprising to everybody, including Hulk. But Hulk is way, way stronger than the Panther. Panther's only option is to be faster than Hulk and to run away as fast as he possibly can. And so this is where
The
I'm
one
wondering
thing-
if they recognized each other.
Yeah, good question.
Okay.
I don't have an answer for you on that. I'll again, once I read 25 more issues or 20 more issues, I'll tell you.
Well, they'll have Jim go back and edit into this podcast 3 years from now. It'll be fine.
Yes, it'll be fine.
So
The
now,
thing I
Go
didn't
ahead.
like about this was you've got all these spaceships,
Yeah.
subdued, and you have your own war fleet. Like, you just don't have the ability to just shoot them. Like, why do you have to go, personal combat?
board them, yeah. You'd think you would just have, some missile command laser beam just go pew, 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 and just blow
Yeah.
them all up.
Yeah.
But I guess that's not the way they want to do it.
Yeah.
But now something really strange starts to occur. All over, on many Allied ships simultaneously, and even on the Wakandan base, a shockingly large percentage of all these crews are revealed
Yes.
to be Skrulls.
Yes.
Oh, very, very old school Marvel people turn out to be Skrulls.
Yeah.
One of
I would
Mbak-
say,
Yeah.
when I saw this, I just rolled my eyes. Not in a negative. I was like, this is fine. This is what happens in the Marvel universe. But at this point, if you're a Marvel spacefaring person, you cannot trust the Skrulls for 1 second. And anyone that's let's eradicate Skrulls, I think I'm on board with that, because this is ridiculous.
But
This is the fifth
Skrulls
time
have been-
they've taken over every, or put infiltrators in every single race.
the Skrulls have been kind of neutered for a while, or at least treated as, the Kree Skrull Empire being united.
Yeah.
Even in the MCU, they're kind of treated as a victim race and not the perpetrators.
Yeah.
So kind of going back to old school evil perfidious Skrulls.
Yeah.
Kind of a surprise.
Yeah.
Even one of M'Baku's chief lieutenants reveals himself to be a Skrull. He
Yeah.
says, Varanke will live forever. And he then stabs M'Baku in the back, both figuratively and literally.
Yeah. And this is Space M'Baku, so he's dead.
Space
Just-
M'Baku is dead, yes.
Just sad. He helped the rebellion in
Okay.
the run, the Black Panther run.
So, Varanke, that is the name that gets used here by the Skrull. I haven't read these issues, but appears to be the name of a Skrull queen and prophetess who, to cut to the chase, does what Skrulls do. Tried to invade Earth, pretended to be Spider-Woman for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Invasion failed, she got locked up for it. And as far as I can tell, she is still imprisoned somewhere on Earth. So I guess maybe this Skrull faction wants to ditch the Alliance and put Varanke back on the throne?
Yeah.
Again, we don't know if Emperor Durek the Eighth, aka Hulkling, we don't know if he's really dead. He is missing. And without him around, there is just nothing to keep this alliance together. Nothing to keep the Kree and the Skrull from killing each other again.
Yeah.
Which we kind of predicted seeing him being missing.
Yep.
So Skrulls reveal themselves on the Spartoy vessel as well. Star-Lord is saved from a Skrull by Shuri, and the two of them plus Nova jump onto Star-Lord's escape ship to run off and look for answers. They gotta find a super intelligence that one of them knows about, where they can input all this confusing data, figure out what the hell's going on. Almost done. Not quite. Before we wrap this up, we need to go back and check in on Deathbird and the Majestrix. Ruben, you don't think there are Skrulls even on the Empress's own ship, do you?
There's an awful lot.
An awful lot of them. I mean, how many actual Shi'ar exist? Everybody's a Skrull.
Yes.
Skrulls everywhere. Looking bad for the Empress, Deathbird protecting her. Now something even more confusing happens. There's a double cross. Some of the crew were really Skrulls in disguise, we knew that, but some of those Skrulls were really Shi'ar hobgoblins, pretending to be Skrulls, pretending to be Shi'ar.
Yeah.
Did I get that right? Is that what happened? I had to read
Yes.
it 8 times.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, now, next question. What the hell is a Shi'ar hobgoblin?
Yeah. Good question.
There has been a character, one of the Super Guardians, whose name was Hobgoblin. And he was a shapeshifter, much like a Skrull. He's currently dead. He was acting as Empress Leandra's body double. When an assassin tried to kill her, killed him instead.
Yeah.
So presumably Shi'ar hobgoblins are a faction of Shi'ar who all have hobgoblin shapeshifting powers?
Yes.
This seems brand new to me. I haven't found any existence. I think Hickman's making it up to make it work.
Yeah.
So the Shi'ar hobgoblins kill the Skrulls. So now Majestrix Xandra is safe, right? Oh no. The victorious Shi'ar hobgoblin faction is led by Xandra's cousin, a Shi'ar super guardian named Electron. And he announces to Xandra, hey, this is a coup.
Yeah.
Electron has a long history going back to 1977. I ran out of wiki diving time, so I can't tell you much else about him. More importantly, Ruben, is this the coup that we saw happen in X-Manhunt? Or is this a whole separate coup?
No, I think this is the coup, but I also think that, I went back to that Uncanny number 11, and it doesn't line up correctly. I think it's like close, but that looks like they were flying through deep space. Everything was kind of peaceful, and then randomly, like the, a rebel faction of Shi'ar took over the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, certainly there were no Skrulls in between. And at the time that the rebels take over, there was they were deep space. They got some like hailing signal from a distressed ship. They went to go pick it up. And that distressed ship had like people on it who participated in the coup. So we don't have any of that now, but certainly this is leading to Xavier and Lilandra trying to rescue Xandra. So I don't know if this isn't that coup, then you'd have to say like they stopped this and then
multiple
a little bit
coups going
later
on.
Another coup happens.
Yeah, it
That'd
does
be kind of
feel
ridiculous.
like maybe Hickman didn't have any input into X-Manhunt, but now he's kind of trying to make it work.
Yeah,
is the feeling I get.
Exactly.
We'll see if he cleans it up any better, or if this is just.
I think this is what we're going to get. I think we're getting a retcon of X-Manhunt. Okay. It's basically the same in the sense that at the end of it, you've got a rebel faction of Shi'ar capturing Xandra.
Okay.
It's just the way it plays out doesn't play out the way it did in X-Manhunt.
Doesn't quite match up.
Yeah.
Okay, so when the Majestrix's ship gets to the Stargate, as it goes through, the coup folks drop off a bunch of mines. Those mines detonate, destroy the Stargate. I think her ship gets through, right? Her ship is the only one that gets through?
Her ship gets through, and I think also the Star-Lord Nova ship gets through, because they say punch it. It's sort of unclear. We don't know for sure.
Yeah, but space chaos going on here. It would make sense that if they need to get to a super intelligence, we hope they get through, and maybe they're the ones who can kind of carry word of this outside of this planet. Yeah.
So Shuri, Nova, and Star-Lord had gotten into the Guardians of the Galaxy ship.
Yeah, the one named Milano number whatever.
Yeah, because their ship had also been, because it was caught in the EMP blast, it had been disabled, but the little portable, solo ship was not.
Right.
And
like
so they were
little runabout, basically, in Star Trek terms.
Yeah, so they get in it, and they were following the Shi'ar ship through the portal, and right when the mines go off, they also go through, which might, if I were going to guess where this goes in comic book terms, like something happens with the portal, and it sends them to like a different location than the location where the Shi'ar show up.
I'm going to say they get to whatever super intelligence they're looking for. That's going to be my guess. I'm going to guess that as
I think they will, but I don't think they'll be involved in saving Xandra.
Okay, so those two ships get through, but everybody else, all these other ships with all their important passengers trapped right here in the vicinity of Wakanda Prime.
Yes.
Which leaves all their worlds vulnerable, right? Electron and company, I guess, were working with the Grand Master because I think they're doing this not only for their own benefit to protect themselves from being caught. I think they're doing it because they're working with Grand Master. Maybe they don't know that it's the Grand Master they're working with. Maybe there's intermediaries in between. But this is the Grand Master's doing.
Yes.
So on the final page, we cut back to the framing sequence where the hashtag shadowy figures are talking and playing a board game. Mm-hmm. We know one of them is Grand Master. Still don't know who the other one is. Grand Master very symbolically knocks down playing pieces representing the Shi'ar and the Space Wakandans. Mm-hmm. We see lots of other fallen pieces on the board representing presumably everybody else. And the final line is Grand Master saying, I chose the players, I chose the board, and as such, I cannot lose. So issue over. And I'm going to say this is another really good issue. I guess I'm super positive today, but we're reading good stuff.
I know, this was a good week. I was happy with it.
Yeah, the only really down, not even down issue, it's what we expected was the KaMala thing, and that event is what it is. Yeah. But Hickman says he was going to reshape Marvel Cosmic, and boy, he is really doing that. Every every established empire, race, planet is just being changed. So he can kind of do whatever he wants now. We've got a war being fomented between worlds under false pretenses. The alliance is over. The Shi'ar Majestrix is being coup d'etat. The universe is going to be in a different place when this is over.
Yeah.
There were some confusing bits to the story, right? The Shi'ar, who were Skrulls, who were hobgoblins. That felt like a forced retcon. Maybe that's not his fault, but it was confusing.
I think that was just a forced retcon in the sense of, like, he wants to get the Kree and Skrull separate, right? So he has that rebellion. But then he also needs to explain, like, why Shi'ar were, like, taking Xander capture. So I think he was like, okay, some of the Super Skrulls were actually these hobgoblins.
Okay. Now, yeah, the art captures the chaos of war, but generally clear enough to know what was going on, except for, like, that portal bit where, again, I'm not sure if it's intentionally confusing or if I'm just confused.
Yeah. If I were to give a negative on this, Space Wakandans are pretty weird in general, and, like, there's nothing here that would catch you up on who they are or, like, who these people are.
Okay.
That could have been somehow weaved into this story, but I guess
he doesn't seem
they expect you to know this stuff.
I did like seeing the large-scale space battles. We don't see a lot of that in Marvel stuff, so it is a cosmic book. We get some good cosmic Star Wars-type giant ships zapping at each other. Yep. Kind of fun.
And I'd also say the designs of the ships. I was looking, now that I've been reading this Black Panther, like, the ships look exactly like the Imperial Wakandan ships.
Yeah, to me, they're just cool geometric shaped ships in space. But if they do match up with established continuity, so much
this is like Star Wars, right? Like, every race gets their style of ship.
Nice.
And they're starting to, like, do that.
So, rating. I gave the first issue of Imperial a 9 out of 10. I don't think I can go quite that high this time, but pretty darn close. I mean, putting Age of Revelation aside for now, because it's barely started, Imperial is the best thing happening in all of Marvel at the moment. Right. So if you're not reading it and you have any interest in cosmic stuff, read these 2 issues. It's really good. I'm going to give issue number 2 8.8 out of 10.
Wow. I can't I can't get to your levels, but I was going to give it 8.5. I was really happy with it.
Nice.
And it is fun. I think the only reason I'm maybe not so high is when we say, like, everything's changing, it's sort of like changing back to the status quo. It's almost like he is tasked with, like, resetting the cosmic universe to its original state, right? Where you've got evil Skrulls and evil Kree that aren't really buddies, and you've got...
We knew the Kree-Skrull alliance couldn't hold in the long term.
Yeah.
It's just not that kind of people. Or
I mean, I always wonder if, like, he's also going to get rid of, like, the Space Wakandans. So they're so they're no longer around. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's one of those issues, one of those books that lets you do all this speculation, and I love that. I love having this wide open area. That's why I read books week to week and not just wait for the trades, because I like being in the middle of an event and going, gee, it could go anywhere.
Yeah.
Speaking of this event, just to let people know how the rest of Imperial is going to work. Main story is just 4 issues, Imperial number 1 through 4. This was issue number 2. Imperial number 3 comes out in a month on August 20th. And then we kind of take a month off, at least from the main series. But there will be a series of tie-in issues, 5 of them landing between August 27th and October 1st. Each of these is co-authored by Hickman and somebody else. So we've got Imperial War Black Panther by Victor LaValle and Hickman. Now, Victor LaValle is the guy who did that Sabretooth and the Exiles book with all the kind of history tie-ins. Could be interesting. We get Imperial War Planet She-Hulk, going back to check in on She-Hulk on Sakaar, whatever new Sakaar is called. That's written by Stephanie Phillips and Hickman. Imperial War Exiles, Steve Fox and Hickman. Imperial War Nova Centurion by Jed MacKay and Hickman. That Jed MacKay guy, one busy fella.
Yeah.
And finally, Imperial War Imperial Guardians by Dan Abnett and Hickman. I wonder if some of these tie-ins are setting up Marvel Cosmic series to come in the wake of this event.
Yeah. I heard Abnett's name in a long time.
We could certainly see, like, Victor LaValle doing a Space Wakandan book. We could certainly see Stephanie Phillips being put on She-Hulk.
Yep.
I don't think Jed MacKay is going to get another book because he's already doing Avengers and X-Men and his own event.
Yeah, and Age of Revelations.
Busy guy.
Keep a lot of time for him.
And then after that's over, we'll get Imperial number 4 sometime in October. That date hasn't been set yet, but only 4 issues to the main title, but 5 tie-ins. And we'll read all the tie-ins and we'll tell you if any of them are any good. Well, Ruben, I think we have talked about enough books for 1 week, don't you think?
Yeah.
So surely Marvel will give us kind of a calm week next week, maybe like 1 or 2 books to talk about. Well, not so much. Next week, we get Uncanny X-Men number 18, which I think is about that Hooray for the Mutants Day down there in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
We get Phoenix number 13, where I think Cable and Phoenix are going to fight about her sister being alive again. And I still think it's going to turn out that Jean accidentally brought her sister back to life. That's my prediction. We get Storm number 10, which I even forget. She's still in jail, right? And then there was all that big tournament going on at the Storm Sanctuary. We'll get back to that. And we have Wolverine number 11, where he's going to fight Sabretooth, if it really is Sabretooth, and if his mom is still around. So lots of confusion everywhere. Next week is also Psylocke number 9, which we're not going to talk about, but it comes out. And Emma Frost, the White Queen number 2, which we also won't talk about. And boy, I'm glad we're ending, because my voice is dead. All right, Ruben, what will we do? Holy crap. What can our loyal listeners do all this week as I wait for my voice to hopefully recover?
Yeah, read more X-Men comics.
Get ready, everyone, and you just might survive. Ruben and Jason are here with their X-Men deep dive. Going through all the X-books is their mission, so get ready for the Learned Edition. Things are getting weird in here. Ruben hopes another sword book gets announced this year. It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed not to
How dare you?
accept your mind. It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show.